Time for the 49ers Rush Podcast.
Probably one of the players on the roster that if I could, college football, NCAA 25's out now and it's awesome and everybody's, talking about it and playing it. Like if I could boost a player probably on this 49ers roster, Dee Winters would be one of the number one contenders. Like if there's somebody that I could just say, this dude's got to jump out of the arena with, just what he did his rookie year last year in 2023 to this year. It could just seize that number 3 linebacker spot from the jump. The amount of relief I would feel as far as just the 49ers defense stopping the run, all these different things, the Drake Greenlaw injury, Drake Greenlaw going into a contract year with an injury, I would feel so much better about the 49ers' future. Dee Winters has the power to change so much in what is kind of, obviously the expectations for the 49ers are through the roof, but there's so much change in personnel coming. All your corners, the Brandon Ayuk situation, Drake Greenlaw, Hufanga, there's some issues. You got to have some of these young guys that were drafted to quote-unquote redshirt step up and win some of these roles. And Dee Winters going to have that chance this year. I really think that he is. He comes in 38 on our roster countdown this year. And on our 4 polls, 1 through 91, 34 was his highest, 41 was his lowest. And a lot of that has to do with, look, the 49ers need this guy. He was just a special teamer only last year. He came in number 48 last year, so he's jumped up 10 spots. Could jump up more, I'm going to be honest with you. Now, the signing of Devondre Campbell, that's going to kind of keep him regulated to the number 3 spot without an injury. But he came out and balled out. We'll hear about Fred Warner talking about his OTA experience this year later on in this little segment. But I really, really enjoy old school thumper linebackers. And he is that. 5'11". He came in at 222. He's gained 8 pounds since his rookie year. He's up to 230 now. 5'11", 230. That is somewhere Navarro Bowman's like, yeah. Like, this is the old school linebacker build. Very similar to Drake Greenlaw. They look very similar. Shorter, and just thick with speed. That's the difference. I mean, this dude is a blazer. Ran a 4.49 40-yard dash at 220-plus pounds. Like, that's top 94 percentile of linebackers in the NFL. He's only 23 years old. 31 and 5/8 inch arms, not long arms, not tall. Like, if there's one thing I could change about him, it would be the length factor. But the Niners have 2 linebackers. They got the short thumper, and then they got the long pass defender, the Fred Warner role versus the short thumper role, which is Drake Greenlaw. Now, 30.5-inch vertical, 9.9 broad jump, 20 bench press reps, all those things. Now, let's go to John Lynch. This was the post-draft press conference. They selected Dee Winters in the 6th round out of TCU last year in the 2023 draft. This is what John Lynch had to say about the 49ers linebacker Dee Winters.
I think his linebacker coach did. Johnny Holland was a huge Dee Winters fan, and we trust Johnny's eye a lot. Our scouts like Dee Winters a lot, and we had a really nice discussion. We ended up with Jalen Graham. The reason we drafted Jalen Graham when we already had a linebacker was because we were kind of torn. All right, Dee Winters, Jalen Graham. Ultimately, Dee Winters won out, and so when he's still there at the end, you go get Jalen Graham. We liked them both. Dee kind of fits who we are, a player that drew some comparisons. Comparisons are dangerous because you got to go do it, but similar traits to Drake Greenlaw, similar suddenness to his game. I had the advantage. TCU was a heavily scouted school by me, selfishly, because my daughter Lily goes to school there. So I got to be there on 3 different occasions this year, and I heard plenty of anyone who I would talk to would talk about Dee Winters as being just a real leader on that team, another captain, but the unequivocal leader for that defense and the voice of that defense and very much of that team. So that carried weight as well. Ultimately, we felt like Dee was just a guy we needed to bring in, and we're really excited to take him.
And it's good to hear John say things because, we go through and we do our draft write-up. I think we did 295 players that year, but we did a draft. These were my draft notes on Dee Winters before the Niners took him, right? And so I don't alter it. I go through it, obviously, change my opinion, but I always try to preserve my write-up before we drafted him because I don't want it to change. I'm biased. I'm a Niners fan, right? So whenever I do these breakdowns and these write-ups, it's pretty cool because it's kind of locked in a time capsule because you can go back and read and be like, all right, like this is who I thought he was before the Niners drafted him. And here was my write-up. 4'3", will linebacker to nickel linebacker. Explosive mover, good range as a second level defender, short area quickness, grab and drag tackler. He wasn't that bruiser or the thumper that I thought whenever you look at his height and weight. Has leadership qualities and high character. It was very obvious just watching the All-22. He was in charge of the defense. He was the leader. Obviously, you heard John Lynch talk about how he was a captain, but he called the defense. Passing down linebacker only at the moment. That was sadly rung out to be true. Has to be better at block shedding. Best games were later in the year. Something clicked in 2022. Wish he was taller, around the ball, and is capable of taking a drive over. Plays with great burst. In my notes, I put NBA Jam, which is that he's heating up. Once he makes a play, he makes another play. And sometimes you'll go a whole drive and man, he didn't really even do anything. But whenever he does shine, man, he jumps off continuously. So anyway, that was my pre-draft write-up. From small town in Texas, Burton High School, Texas. It's a population of 283. It's located right in between Austin and Houston. And whenever he was there, he did everything. Played wide receiver, running back, quarterback, linebacker, cornerback, safety, and punter in high school. He did it all. It's the small school way. It's the Texas small school way. He was a two-time district MVP, had 1,100 yards and 18 touchdowns in his high school career. His center fielder on the baseball team, point guard for the basketball team, and a member of the relay track team that advanced to the state tournament. Dude's just an absolute athlete. 5'11", 222, running a 4.440. Dude is just speed and athleticism. And probably his number one claim to fame. I don't know if you want to say that. Sorry, Wayne. Hopefully you're not watching this. It was the TCU bowl game against Michigan, the Fiesta Bowl back in 2022. And I remember this vividly. This was the same weekend that the 49ers played in Las Vegas against the Rams for New Year's. You remember that game? I think it went to overtime, right? It was a heck of a game. 49ers won. Jared Stidham went off, but whatever. The night before, we're holding a 49ers Rush road trip event in Las Vegas. I had a great time. It was such a great turnout. But the Michigan TCU game was on, and Wayne was there, and we're working this event, and his team's getting his butt kicked, and every, I don't know, 15 minutes or something, you just hear Wayne yell out a curse word at the top of his lungs. It was... I don't like Michigan, but I love Wayne. And a lot of it was because of this guy. Dee Winters took that game over. And again, just in that game against Michigan, he was the MVP. 3 tackles for loss, 1 pass breakup, 1 interception, which was a pick 6, took it to the house. And, TCU they handled Michigan and ended their season. So shout out to Wade. We always bring him up with the Michigan guys. But that game will forever be burned into my brain because we're working and hosting an event with all these people and you just hear Wade yell out the F word every random 15 minutes. It was great. Now back to just what Dee Winters accomplished with his combine. 4th fastest linebacker in that draft class. That's something. For somebody that you drafted the late 6th rounder, you're drafted traits, right? Once you get into late day 3, it's traits. That's what you're trying to accomplish. Can he develop into what you want? We haven't seen it yet. But maybe he can. Now, if we just look at his rookie year, he played a lot. Now, defensively, only 60 defensive snaps, and it was only in the blowout games. Like, I went back and I was like, oh, wow, this dude logged double-digit snaps in like 4 games. Well, it was both the Arizona games, which we blew them out, the Eagles game, blowout, and then week 17 or week 18 against the Rams whenever we rested everybody. And he wasn't good. He was not good on defense. However, on special teams, played really well. 226 special team snaps, 60% of the team special team snaps he was out there. I really do like that. Now, PFF grades, not kind to him, and this is why I think the 49ers coaching staff trusts Demetrius Flanagan-Fowl so much. Listen to these Dee Winters PFF grades. 29.3 overall. That's as bad as you're ever going to see. 47.2 run defense, 59.1 pass rush. That's what he could do well. 29.3 coverage, not good. 62.1 special teams, really not bad. Anything above 60 special teams wise, pretty solid. So I think that, he could continue to be a special teams guy and probably make this roster. But you got to see some contributions on defense, especially with Dre Greenlaw out this year and in a contract year. I do think Greenlaw will come back for a playoff run, but you've got to find an heir apparent. I hope we keep Dre Greenlaw forever. He's my favorite player on this team, but even me, Dre Greenlaw is my favorite player, period, on this team out of everybody. I understand the need to probably move on after this year. I understand that. And you spent so much draft capital. You drafted 3 young guys. Dee Winters, Jalen Graham, Tatum Bethune. 1 or 2 of those guys got to pan out. And if they don't, the Niners probably keep Dre Greenlaw or bring in a free agent. But it's come on. My ultimate faith is right here in this kid. I think Dee Winters can do it. I really, really do. And, it's funny how much, Warner and Greenlaw was rehabbing, obviously, because of the torn Achilles in the Super Bowl during OTAs and minicamp. Fred Warner didn't really play much at all either. He was there, but he was just watching. Man, they went crazy, and both of them have talked about how great Dee Winters has looked. Here's Fred Warner talking about Dee Winters and what he did this was just like a month ago, this OTA.
I think Dee's probably had, the best OTA out of anybody on the team. I feel like he's come along since last year. I remember he came in as a rookie, was struggling to learn the plays and, trying to get in shape and all those little things that you got to learn as a professional, and has come in this year and just been on it, making plays left and right. He came in great shape this OTA, and so he set himself up to have a great training camp. He's going to train hard this kind of summer training and have a chance.
What else do you want to hear from the number 1 linebacker in the world, the leader of this team? You know what I mean? And there was a point where some point in OTAs, Dee Winters got an interception, and it was on a day that the offense was kind of giving it to the defense. And what's it called? You get this story of Dre Greenlaw running from the sideline where he was rehabbing onto the field at his boot to congratulate Dee Winters. Come on, man. This linebacker room, it's second to none. And if Dee Winters can step up and Dre Greenlaw comes back, you're talking about the best linebacker room in the NFL, and it's not even close. They probably have the best linebacker room in the NFL even with an injured Dre Greenlaw. So we'll see. You look at the stats just from last year for Dee Winters: 10 tackles, 1 pass breakup. Made $883,000 last year on his 4-year deal worth $3.9. Played in 15 games. That's impressive. Now, you look at the depth chart. 49ers probably keep 5 to 6. Warner's a lock. Devondre Campbell's a lock. DFF's a lock. His entire contract's guaranteed. Dre Greenlaw won't count against the 53-man roster being on the pup. So that's only 3. So I think you're keeping 2 to 3 of the young guys. Dee Winters, Jalen Graham, Tatum Bethune. I'd go in that order. Maybe Zeke Turner, maybe Curtis Robinson, but Dee Winters is in a tier all to himself for me. I have him right below the locks. And then the other guys, Graham, Bethune, Turner, and Robinson, they're in that kind of last tier. So 2 of the last tier, but I think Dee Winters makes this. And I think the plan for Johnny Holland and, the front office and the salary cap guys, ideally, Dee Winters balls out at the Sam linebacker spot, moves into the Will spot next to Warner next year. You allow Greenlaw to go get paid and be the guy somewhere else, very similar to Aziz. It's not what I want. I think that's what the 49ers want, with their whole red shirt philosophy, everything. But there's a lot on the shoulders for Dee Winters. There really, really is. Can he step in and seize that role? I'm betting on him, and so are the 49ers with kind of how they've designed this roster. So, Dee Winters, take this job and run with it, and hopefully you'll be a linebacker for the future for a long time. And for us, we'll just keep counting them down.